They didn't expect Nigeria to strike back. While the US quietly drafted plans to blacklist another 36 countries, mostly African, in a massive travel ban expansion, Nigeria didn't just protest. It pulled the trigger. A fierce declaration from Abuja has stunned Washington. Access to Nigeria's critical minerals is now off the table. Rare earths denied. Lithium and cobalt partnerships suspended. Trade diplomacy frozen. Why? Because US President Donald Trump, in his signature America First fashion, is pushing what many now call the largest racialized visa ban in modern history, with 26 African nations targeted for exclusion. And Nigeria, Africa's biggest economy, isn't having it. What was supposed to be a simple immigration update has now spiraled into a global trade showdown, where Africa's mineral dominance is being weaponized for the first time. So what really happened? And could this spark a new era of African resistance to Western power? In this video, let's find out. When President Trump returned to office, one of his first foreign policy moves was an aggressive re-escalation of his travel ban legacy. A new classified memo circulated through the US State Department listed 36 additional countries, including 26 from Africa, under review for visa restrictions. These weren't just security measures. These were full or partial entry bans, with Africa now the biggest target. Nigeria's inclusion on that list ignited diplomatic fire. With over 230 million people, Nigeria isn't just Africa's most populous country. It's a geopolitical heavyweight. It holds some of the world's richest untapped mineral reserves, from lithium in Nasarawa to cobalt and nickel deposits in Plateau and Bauchi. And it's a rising star in the global race for rare earths, oil alternatives, and clean energy metals. So when news broke that Nigeria was among the nations flagged for US visa restrictions, the backlash was immediate. At a high-level ECOWAS summit in Abuja, Nigeria's Foreign Minister Yusuf Tuggar issued a direct warning. "We would like to do deals with the US, but visa restrictions are non-tariff barriers to deals." In other words, no minerals without respect. That's when Nigeria pulled the plug. It knows that for decades, Africa's vast reserves of rare earths and strategic minerals have been treated as open season for Western interests, mined, extracted, and exported with little resistance. But Nigeria just turned the tables. What Foreign Minister Yusuf Tuggar issued was not just a press statement, it was a geopolitical cannon shot. He publicly warned that if the US expands its travel ban to include Nigeria, then America's access to Nigeria's critical minerals would be revoked. This was not a bluff. It was a line in the sand. The Trump administration's approach, which is aggressive isolationism paired with resource extraction, was met with a sharp reversal of power. Tuggar essentially told Washington, "If you block our citizens at your borders, we will block your companies at our mines." This move strikes at the heart of a US strategy that has grown desperate over the past 5 years. This strategy has been to reduce dependency on China for critical minerals. Lithium, cobalt, nickel, and rare earth elements are the building blocks of the 21st century economy. They power electric vehicles, smartphones, military drones, missile systems, and even AI data centers. Yet for years, China dominated the global supply chain, controlling over 60% of the world's rare earth processing capacity. The US, scrambling to catch up, turned to Africa to diversify its mineral sources, and Nigeria is central to that strategy. With untapped reserves spread across Bauchi, Nasarawa, Kaduna, and Kogi, Nigeria is uniquely positioned to be a supplier of high-grade lithium, samarium, and uranium, each essential for defense, green energy, and digital infrastructure. That's why this threat from Nigeria hit Washington where it hurts most, in the clean energy economy that Trump has publicly vowed to build. During his first and second terms, Trump's trade doctrine emphasized breaking China's grip on rare earths. It was the logic behind his deal with Ukraine, where US firms were granted near-exclusive rights to lithium, titanium, and other metals as part of a Reconstruction for Access plan. It was the same logic in the Minerals for Peace initiative in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which sought to stabilize war-torn regions through mining partnerships favorable to American firms. But unlike Ukraine or the DRC, Nigeria is not asking for aid. It's demanding respect. Until now, the United States Agency for International Development had been laying the groundwork for what it hoped would be a long-term mineral partnership with Nigeria. Millions of dollars had already been poured into exploratory geological mapping, feasibility studies, and even early-stage mineral processing facilities. There were plans to develop supply chain hubs for raw and refined lithium that would feed directly into the US-based EV and battery manufacturers. These efforts were not just economic, they were strategic, aimed at ensuring that Washington would have alternatives if relations with China further deteriorated. But now, all those agreements are paralyzed. By threatening to cut off access to its minerals, Nigeria isn't just disrupting a few contracts. It's challenging the very structure of Western economic dominance in Africa. And this time, the continent isn't acting like a silent participant. A Nigerian lawmaker summed it up best when he said, "You can't freeze our people and expect access to our wealth." That statement echoed far beyond Nigeria's borders. It became a symbol of African defiance, a bold rejection of the old neo-colonial formula where passports are denied, but mines are granted. It was a demand for reciprocity. If you deny us dignity, you will get no access to our minerals. This shift reflects a new reality. African nations are beginning to understand and leverage the value of their resources, not just as commodities, but as political tools. For the first time, the continent is positioning its mineral wealth not as something to be extracted at will, but as a negotiating chip in the global power game. This is a different Africa, one that has watched the world scramble for batteries, satellites, and clean tech, and realized it controls the very ground those innovations are built on. Therefore, what began with Nigeria may now expand into a Pan-African trade rebellion. ECOWAS, representing 15 West African countries and over 400 million people, has voiced solidarity. Ministers warned that a U.S. visa blacklist would undermine not only diplomatic relations, but education exchanges, health programs, military training, and all energy-related deals. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black Africa. Let's continue now. Even the US-backed Minerals for Peace deal between the DRC and Rwanda is in jeopardy. If both countries are sanctioned, the US loses leverage in Congo's mineral corridor, a key strategic zone connecting cobalt mines to international markets. The Lobito Corridor Rail project, meant to export minerals from Zambia and Congo through Angola, is now at risk of collapse. You see, Nigeria's stance has emboldened others. South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Egypt, all facing their own history with US visa politics, are reportedly considering similar retaliatory reviews. The shift is seismic. Africa is discovering its leverage, not in war, but in minerals. And this will be a costly affair for Trump. To Trump's loyalists, the travel bans are framed as national security safeguards. They argue that many of the targeted countries suffer from internal instability, poor documentation systems, or violence risks. Their justification hinges on vague bureaucratic language, like claims of identity management failures, visa overstay vulnerabilities, and unverified background checks. But beyond the administrative jargon, the bans follow a familiar pattern. Disproportionately Black, predominantly Muslim, and geopolitically powerless nations are being targeted. Critics have called it what it appears to be, a racially coded immigration policy disguised as border control. Even the State Department's own documentation offers no transparent criteria for how countries are added or removed from the list. There's no checklist, no measurable benchmark, and no appeal system for sovereign governments to contest the decision. But what may seem like domestic posturing is now spiraling into global consequences, especially in Africa. The most immediate casualty is America's economic footprint across the continent. U.S. mining corporations, already scrambling to secure access to cobalt, lithium, and rare earth deposits in Nigeria, the DRC, and Angola now face a chilling new risk: expulsion. The trust that underpinned these billion-dollar ventures is eroding fast. African governments are beginning to ask, why should we sign 20-year mineral deals with a country that won't even let our students or engineers visit? And the impact doesn't stop at mining. America's universities are set to lose thousands of international students, particularly from Nigeria, which ranks among the top 5 sources of African students in the U.S. These students don't just pay tuition, they become research partners, cultural ambassadors, and future business collaborators. Tech startups in Lagos, Accra, and Nairobi, many of which rely on U.S. venture capital, now view Silicon Valley as a fickle partner. Why scale your company through U.S. incubators if the next administration might shut your visa overnight? Therefore, many African entrepreneurs are beginning to pivot to China, India, or the UAE, where deals come with fewer lectures and more consistent access. This is where Trump's famed art of the deal collapses. His doctrine has always been based on maximum pressure, followed by last-minute negotiation. In the business world, that might work for real estate developers or casino magnates. But sovereign nations don't play by the same rules. They don't fold under pressure. They realign. As one Nigerian academic told a Pan-African news outlet, "This isn't a casino. You can't gamble with visas and expect to win minerals." The damage to trust, once broken, can't be undone with a sudden offer. And into that vacuum, China is stepping confidently. While the U.S. tightens borders, Beijing is opening doors. Chinese embassies across Africa are quietly offering long-term business visas, soft loans, and what many African leaders see as respectful economic engagement. China's playbook avoids the moral high ground. It doesn't lecture on governance or attach political strings. It simply asks, what do you have, and what do you want? The result? Nigeria is quietly but seriously reevaluating its geopolitical alignment. Already, massive infrastructure projects, from railways to solar plants, have been built in partnership with China's Belt and Road Initiative. With American mineral deals now frozen and diplomatic relations tense, it's only natural for Abuja to look eastward. What Washington sees as a simple visa ban, Beijing sees as an invitation. This isn't just a diplomatic miscalculation, it's a strategic surrender. Trump's short-term optics, designed to appease a voter base obsessed with immigration control, are now costing the U.S. long-term influence in the fastest-growing region of the world. Africa isn't the same continent it was 20 years ago. Its leaders are younger, more connected, more self-aware, and more willing to walk away from one-sided deals. And if Trump's administration doesn't adjust course, the mineral-rich fields of West Africa may soon be managed not by American hands, but by Chinese ones. Because in the new global order, respect is currency, and the U.S. is spending its reserves fast. What do you think? Can America really afford to insult the very continent holding the keys to its clean energy future? If Africans can't travel to the U.S., should Americans be allowed to come to Africa and mine Africa's land? In the comment section below, share your thoughts on what would happen if every African country said no more minerals to any nation that treats them as inferior. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We bring videos on Black Africa, its history, rich arts and culture, and things the world should know about. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.